on the hour. And it's £3.75 each. Oh, look at that. That's the original.
2,000 years. The original fortress was built by the Romans, was in fact exactly the same shape and size as the castle is today. So the buildings have changed, but the size of the castle pretty much the same as it was 2,000 years ago. The Romans left in the 5th century, and we don't know very much about what happened after they left. So that is the end of the tour, I'm afraid. Pretty good. Until the arrival of the Normans. Now, the Normans arrived in England in the year 1066. They got to Wales 15 years later, and the little castle I'm sure you've seen already outside in the grounds, the little castle on the hill, that was built by the Normans about 900 years ago. Now, if you think of the main part of the house that we're in at the moment, in general terms, and I do mean in general terms, being about 600 years old, but inside the rooms it is the Victorian period, the 19th century. In 1848, when he was just 6 months old, the castle became the property of this gentleman here, John Patrick Crichton Stewart, the 3rd Marquis of Bute. Now, Bute is an island off the coast of Scotland, so although this castle is in Wales, it was owned at the time by a Scottish family. Quite a remarkable man. He inherited the castle, as I say, when he was 6 months old. The Times newspaper called him the richest baby in the British Empire. He subsequently became one of the richest men in the world. His estimated income was the equivalent of about £30 billion a year. It was all because of one thing. And there it is in the fire grate. It was coal. To the north of Cardiff there were large coal fields. As luck would have it, they were on Lord Bute's land. But he also owned the railways and the canal that brought the coal to Cardiff, and when the coal reached Cardiff, he owned the docks as well. So he had the whole operation neatly sewn up. And in the late part of the 19th century, he was supplying 1/5 of the world's coal. You get some idea of just how wealthy he had become. This is his wife, Lady Gwendolen, and they had 4 children. But even though they were making so much money from this area, they actually lived here for just 6 weeks every year. This was one of more than 250 properties that the family owned. They went to So this is the nursery, and here are the children. The eldest was Lady Margaret. She was born on Christmas Eve, 1875. It was for her that the room was originally designed. Her brother Lord John, Lord Ninian, and Lord Colum. The youngest two have unusual names. They are named after Scottish saints, St Ninian and St Colum, or St Columba. Now, they would spend most of their day in this room. They'd have their meals here, they'd have their lessons here, they'd also play in the room. So officially, it was the children's day nursery. It quickly became known as the fairy tale nursery, because around the room, a procession of fairy tale. And in the corner, Robinson Crusoe. But perhaps the most interesting one, the one that's looking into the room, the invisible prince. Can you see him? What a silly question, he's invisible. However, if you look at the top of the bird's head, move your eyes slowly to the right, can you just see his chin resting on the bird's head, and his nose, his head under the crown of leaves, his shoulder and his arm come over here to the left, and then his legs at the bottom. Yes or no?
Yes.
Don't be afraid to say no.
I can't see it.
It only means 2 hours in the dungeon. say, this is the banqueting hall, or the great hall of the castle, if you like. This part of the castle has been here for about 600 years.
Wow.
You wouldn't want to forget something in the future.
No.
Not a very big bed, is it? Wow. Everything's original.
You have a bigger bed.
Well, this is Lord
Compared
Bute's
to the rest
bedroom,
of the castle, right?
and this is his bed.
Wow.
The tradition was amongst the aristocracy for the husband and wife to have separate bedrooms, and again by tradition it was the wife who got the double bed. It was considered to be the wife's privilege to invite the husband into the bedchamber. For whatever reason, he ends up with a single bed.
Sunshine. Oh. Look at this. That's lovely. Come get some air. They probably would have had plants all in here. Okay, it's the castle in Cardiff, and this is the animal wall. This is kind of cool. They put all these animals, oh, hello, on the wall. There's a seal. There's the beautiful park. park we're going to go into. Castle. And what was that? A chimpanzee? Monkey? Goes on for a long ways, all the way down this street.